Everyone thought they knew Lisa Bonet. They didn't. For decades, she stayed just out of reach, quiet, private, almost mysterious. While Hollywood chased cameras and chaos, she moved in silence. No noise, no drama. Yet somehow, she still shaped the culture without trying. That was her power. Then came the split from Jason Momoa, and something changed. Not loudly, not publicly, but deeply. No breakdown, no messy headlines, no tell-all interviews. Just distance. At first, only her friends noticed. Then insiders started talking. Then fans felt it too. Lisa wasn't heartbroken. She was detaching, letting go, peeling off a life that no longer fit. While everyone expected a woman falling apart, what they got instead was a woman stepping into herself. Calmer, sharper, more intentional. Almost like she'd been waiting for this moment. And weirdly, that quiet transformation unsettled people more than any scandal ever could. Because we understand chaos, but reinvention? That's harder to explain. Lisa Bonet didn't crash, she didn't crumble, she simply walked away. And sometimes the strongest move you can make is leaving without a sound. Long before cameras followed her every move, Lisa Bonet was simply a quiet girl trying to figure out where she belonged. But once she appeared on television as a teenager, her life changed forever. And from that moment on, fame and identity became impossible to separate. She was born in San Francisco and raised in Los Angeles, growing up in a wealthy neighborhood where almost no one looked like her. Even as a child, she felt out of place. After her parents divorced, she became an only child moving between two worlds, carrying a deep loneliness that shaped how she saw herself. She often said she never felt fully rooted anywhere, and that feeling of not quite belonging stayed with her into adulthood. Acting wasn't some grand childhood dream, it happened by chance. A friend invited her to try an acting class, and for the first time, Lisa felt comfortable being different. Instead of standing out in a bad way, her uniqueness finally felt like strength. That small step opened a door. Soon she landed a guest role on St. Elsewhere while still in school. Not long after, she walked into an audition that would completely change her future. At just 16, she became Denise Huxtable. Almost overnight, Lisa was welcomed into millions of homes as part of one of television's most beloved Black families. The Cosby Show exploded into a cultural force, dominating ratings year after year. Denise wasn't just a character, she became a trendsetter, a fashion icon, and a symbol of cool confidence. But while the world celebrated her, Lisa never fully relaxed into the spotlight. Even early on, producers noticed something different about her. She didn't seem interested in molding herself to fit expectations. Writer Marcy Carsey once sensed that no matter how big the show became, Lisa would always remain exactly who she was. She wouldn't perform a personality just to please the public. That quiet stubbornness would define her entire career. While many young actors chased the safety of fame, Lisa slowly pulled away from it. She didn't want to be trapped in one role or one image. By the time she was legally an adult, she was already looking for ways to break free from the box Hollywood had built around her. And that desire to escape would soon collide head-on with America's idea of who she was supposed to be. Turning 18 only made the tension worse. On-screen, she was still the sweet, dependable big sister. Off-screen, she felt restless and confined. Success had come too fast and too easily, and she understood something most actors learn too late. Once the public turns you into a symbol, walking away can cost you everything. Still, she took the risk. Lisa accepted a role in Angel Heart, a dark, intense film that couldn't have been further from Denise Huxtable's wholesome image. The story was heavy, mature, and openly sexual. It shocked people. When the movie came out, backlash hit immediately. Headlines focused less on her performance and more on how she had betrayed her television persona. The controversy was so strong that the film's rating even had to be reworked. But Lisa never saw it as rebellion. To her, it was growth. She believed television actors weren't taken seriously in film, and she refused to stay small just to protect a character people loved. When critics accused her of ruining Denise's image, she didn't apologize. Calmly and confidently, she explained that she wasn't responsible for protecting fiction, only for honoring herself and her craft. That kind of independence surprised Hollywood, especially coming from a young woman expected to simply follow the rules. And the industry reacted fast. Around that same time, she was set to lead A Different World, a spin-off built around her character. The show started strong, but behind the scenes, tension was building. Then Lisa became pregnant, and what should have been a personal moment quickly became a professional battle. It wasn't just about scheduling anymore. It was about control, values, and a woman refusing to let her life be managed by other people. And that conflict would push her career and her relationship with Hollywood into even more complicated territory. Behind the scenes, a quiet debate was happening. Producers wondered if they should write Lisa's real-life pregnancy into the show. To them, it felt modern and honest, a chance to show real womanhood on screen. But in the end, the answer was cold and final. No. Her character wasn't allowed to grow the way she was growing in real life. So Lisa made a choice few young stars would dare to make. She walked away from the very show she helped make famous. To the public, it looked messy. Headlines painted her as difficult, but people who knew the truth told a different story. They saw a young woman under crushing pressure, trying to protect herself. Because Lisa wasn't some seasoned celebrity, she was barely 20. And suddenly, the world wasn't just judging her talent. They judged her body, her pregnancy, her independence, her refusal to play by Hollywood's rules. That moment changed everything. The industry began to label her unpredictable. Meanwhile, Lisa began to see Hollywood for what it really was: conditional love. And once she saw that truth, there was no going back. Then life shifted again. Motherhood didn't feel like a side story or a career obstacle. It felt like a complete reset. When her daughter Zoe was born, Lisa's world rearranged overnight. Fame stopped being the center. Her child became everything. Her career slowed down. Not because she failed, not because she couldn't get roles, but because she chose to slow it down. In interviews, she spoke calmly about stepping back, staying home, and learning who she really was without cameras watching. For the first time, she wasn't chasing attention, she was chasing peace. Her marriage to Lenny Kravitz had started like a whirlwind romance, full of passion and admiration, but constant public attention weighed heavily on them. When it ended, the heartbreak was real. Lenny later admitted it was one of the most painful times of his life. While the spotlight stayed loud, Lisa went quiet. She moved to Topanga Canyon with Zoe, far from the noise of Hollywood. Nature replaced red carpets, animals replaced paparazzi, privacy replaced pressure. It wasn't escape, it was intentional. During this period, she did something even more surprising. She changed her name. Legally, she became Leela Koi Moon. Not for headlines, not for rebranding, but for herself. She wanted a name that belonged to her private soul, not the celebrity the industry had created. It was her way of drawing a line between who she truly was and who the world expected her to be. She focused on yoga, reflection, and a slower way of living. These weren't trends to her. They were survival tools. She didn't quit acting. She simply refused to believe that being seen all the time was the same as being valuable. And when Zoe later chose to spend time living with her father, Lisa let her go, even though it hurt. Because love, to her, meant freedom. Again and again, she chose what felt right over what felt safe. And that quiet strength, not fame, became the real story of her life. Hollywood doesn't wait for anyone. The moment someone steps back, another face steps in. New stars rise, old ones fade. That's just how the machine works. Lisa Bonet never tried to fight that cycle. She didn't beg for attention or chase relevance. Instead, she quietly disappeared. And when she finally came back, it wasn't to reclaim fame, it was to stand on her own terms. Time away had changed her. The girl America once called an icon was gone. In her place stood someone calmer, stronger, harder to read. She spoke less, explained less, protected her peace at all costs. That quiet strength shaped the next phase of her life, including a love story many believed would last forever. Jason Momoa. From the outside, they looked like destiny, like the perfect match, like something written in the stars. But their beginning didn't feel like a movie scene. It felt small, private, almost accidental. They met at a jazz club in Los Angeles, long before flashing cameras followed him everywhere, long before superhero roles and global fame changed his world. Back then, he was just a young guy, unknown, a little nervous, trying not to stumble over his words around her. Lisa was different. She had already tasted fame, survived the backlash, and walked away from it all. She had lived several lifetimes emotionally. The gap between them wasn't power, it was timing. Still, something clicked. Their connection grew quietly, away from headlines and gossip columns. No spectacle, no pressure, just two people figuring each other out. Lisa was drawn to his openness, the way he felt everything out loud. Jason found comfort in her steadiness. She felt grounded, safe. He once admitted he'd admired her since he was a kid, but what kept him close as a man wasn't childhood crushes, it was peace. Lisa had built a life centered around home, routine, and emotional honesty. No chaos, no noise. And slowly, that life made room for him. Their family blended in a way most people only hope for. Lisa and Lenny Kravitz stayed close, co-parenting with respect and maturity. Jason stepped in without ego or tension. There was no drama, just continuity, just love. From the outside, it looked rare, almost too good to be true. For Lisa, it felt safe, and safety mattered more than anything. After years together, they married quietly. No fairy tale speeches, no grand declarations. Just two adults choosing partnership, growth, respect, shared values. It seemed like she had finally found the perfect balance between love and independence. But life doesn't stand still, and neither did Jason's career. The bigger his star grew, the faster everything moved. Long shoots, endless travel, months away from home, constant reinvention, the world pulling him outward, while Lisa had spent years building a life that moved inward. He thrived in motion. She protected stillness. At first, the difference felt small. Then it became everything. There wasn't a big fight, no explosion, no betrayal, just two people slowly realizing they wanted different rhythms. He chased momentum, she guarded peace. And some differences can't be negotiated. By the time they announced their separation, the real work had already happened in private. The grieving, the acceptance, the quiet understanding. No accusations, no public breakdown, just honesty. The life they built together no longer fit them both, so they let it go. And for Lisa Bonet, walking away wasn't a loss. It was another return to herself. Back to stillness, back to privacy, back to a quieter kind of strength. Because sometimes the most powerful move isn't holding on. It's knowing when to step back into your own space and choosing peace over the illusion of perfect love. When the news of the separation broke, people expected drama, a comeback tour, a bold new look, a carefully crafted statement to steer the headlines. That's the usual Hollywood script. But Lisa Bonet didn't follow it. Instead of stepping forward to explain herself, she quietly stepped back. Not because she was broken, but because that's who she has always been when the cameras aren't around. Later, court documents revealed something most people missed. The emotional distance had happened long before the public announcement. This wasn't sudden or messy. It was thoughtful, intentional, a slow, private shift rather than a public collapse. While the world treated it like breaking news, Lisa had already moved on with her life. And strangely, she seemed lighter. Friends noticed it first. There was no panic, no rush to bounce back, no desperate reinvention, just calm. A woman releasing what no longer fit. She didn't fill her schedule with projects to prove anything. Acting wasn't calling her, and she didn't force it. Financially, she was fine. Emotionally, she didn't need the noise. For Lisa, work was never about staying relevant. It was about honesty. If it didn't feel true, she simply didn't do it. Then something interesting happened. People started paying attention not to what she was doing, but to how peaceful she looked doing almost nothing at all. At an age when Hollywood pressures women to tighten, tweak, and correct every flaw, Lisa looked unchanged, natural, present, comfortable in her own skin. Speculation followed, of course. It always does. But her answer had been the same for years. Simple skincare, coconut oil, minimal makeup, fewer products, more consistency. No chasing youth, no fighting time, just care. Yet the real change wasn't physical. It was how she lived. She stayed off social media. She avoided public commentary. She spent time with her children, her family, her closest circle. Her days weren't driven by reaction. They were shaped by routine. Yoga, writing, movement, nature, quiet mornings, slow living. Not a new lifestyle, just the one she'd been building all along. In a culture obsessed with dramatic glow-ups, Lisa refused to perform healing for an audience. And that refusal unsettled people. Because we're used to seeing transformation as something loud and visible, a big reveal, a headline moment. But Lisa's growth was quiet. She didn't come out of her marriage trying to rebrand herself. She simply became more herself. And that's harder for Hollywood to package. While many actresses feel pressure to explain their faces, their bodies, or their absence, Lisa explained nothing. She kept dancing, practicing yoga, staying connected to her body instead of battling it. She rejected the whole idea of anti-aging. Her philosophy was simple. Maintain, don't correct. Care, don't control. Even within her family, that message stayed strong. When her daughter faced rumors and invasive questions, the response wasn't polished PR, it was human and honest. The body isn't a public project. That mindset might be quiet, but it's radical. What some people call disappearing isn't disappearance at all. It's completion. Lisa Bonet had already done the fame thing, the spotlight, the legacy. She didn't need more applause. So when her relationship ended, it didn't create a transformation. It revealed one that was already there. She didn't storm away from Hollywood. She simply outgrew it. She didn't give up on love. She redefined it. And she didn't become invisible. She became untouchable by expectations that were never hers to begin with. Maybe that's why her story feels so powerful. There's no scandal to dissect, no chaos to consume, just a woman choosing peace. And sometimes walking away quietly is louder than any comeback tour.